there, taking a quantum jump. That is very, very powerful, because if we can take a quantum jump, then definitely each one of us would have tangible results, as we are saying. Okay, so this morning I want to talk to someone. Maybe you are here and you don't know where to start from. Things seem to be very stuck. I'm sure there is someone who is in that situation, and I want to tell you that as long as you are doing something very seriously, you are in the right position. So what progress is really like? Because as human beings, we have the way we understand progress, and there is a way how progress should be. It is like, imagine that you have an ice tube. You have ice in the tube, sitting on the table in front of you. The room is very cold, and you can see your breath. When it is very cold, you can easily see your breath. It is currently 25 degrees. Ever so slowly, the room begins to heat up. So the room is heating up at that time at 25 degrees, 26 degrees, 27 degrees, 28 degrees. The ice cube is still sitting on the table in front of you. Nothing much has happened yet. The ice is still in the what? The ice is still in the tube. 29 degrees, 31, still nothing happened at 31 degrees. Then 32 degrees, the ice begins to melt. A 1 degree shift, seemingly no different from the temperature increase before, it has unlocked a huge change. So what this example means is that, you are heating ice. You start heating it, in a cold room, nothing is happening. At 20 degrees Celsius, nothing is happening. At 25 degrees Celsius, nothing is happening. At 30, nothing is happening. Then, at 31, nothing is happening. But at 32, ice melts. So, breakthrough moments are often as a result of many previous actions, which build up the potential required to unleash a major change. So that doesn't mean that when you are hitting at 20 degrees, it doesn't mean that 20 degrees didn't contribute to 32 degrees. It doesn't mean that it didn't contribute to the melting of the ice. So this is to say that whatever you are doing, as long as you don't give up, it is going to pay off. Whatever effort you are doing, that's why we are like the way we heard from Leader Solomon. Let's see. Let's do the work. Show up in the office, do your work, because sometimes you might not see the progress, but the progress is there, like what we are looking at this morning. Like the way our leader Duncan said that, when you have results today, it is as a result of 3 months back. It is as a result of maybe 6 months back. It is as a result of maybe 1 year back. You've been working 1 year back, you are getting the results now. Where I was saying that you can be presenting to people and there seems, it's like no one is joining. But after some months, you'll get some people joining. So that work, the results you are getting are not always as a result of the work you are doing now, but the work you are doing previously. So this pattern shows up everywhere. For example, cancer spends 80% of its life undetectable. We know, I'm sure all of us, we know cancer. Cancer spends 80% of its life undetectable. Then it takes over the body in months. Can you imagine? You 80%? So that means all of us, we have cancerous cells in our body. That is the reason we need to supplement. So cancer takes 80% of its life undetectable. Then it takes over the body in months. That's why someone can get cancer. Then in a few months, when you see them, even the skin has changed, because they have been living with it, but it is not detectable. Let us look at bamboo tree. Bamboo can barely be seen for the first 5 years as it builds extensive root systems underground before exploding 90 feet into the air within 6 weeks. Bamboo can barely be seen for the first 5 years as it builds up an extensive root systems underground before exploding 90 feet into the air within 6 weeks. So can you imagine that this bamboo tree, when you put the seeds in the soil, and you are watering it, for 5 years, it will not germinate. And then after 5 years, after it has germinated, within just the 6 weeks, it will grow feet. It will grow 90 feet tall. So it doesn't mean the first year when you are watering the soil, when you are watering it, it doesn't mean that you are wasting time. That watering, it also contributed on the growth in 6 weeks. Similarly, habits often appear to make no difference until you cross a critical threshold and unlock a new level of performance. In the early and middle ages of any quest, there is often a valley of disappointment. You know, some of us can be in the valley of disappointment. We are thinking, why am I doing what I'm doing? You know, those questions can come. You expect to make progress in a linear fashion, and it is frustrating how ineffective changes can seem during the first days, the first weeks, and even months. It doesn't feel like you are growing anywhere. It's a hallmark of any compounding process. The most powerful outcomes are delayed. Are you getting that? The most powerful outcomes are delayed. Some of us who have just joined us, we want to make progress within just within a week, within 2 months, within 6 months. This is one of the core reasons why it is hard to build habits that last. People make a few small changes. This is very powerful. If you are dozing, listen to this. This is one of the core reasons why it is so hard to build habits that last. People make a few smaller changes, fail to see a tangible result, and decide to stop. You think, I've been running every day for a month, so why can't I see any change in my body? Once this kind of thinking takes over, it is easy to let good habits fall by the wayside. But in order to make meaningful difference, habits need to persist long enough to break through this plateau, what we call the plateau of latent potential. If you find yourself struggling to build a good habit or break a bad habit, it's not because you have lost your ability to improve. It is often because you have not yet crossed the plateau of latent potential. I want you to go to the chat section and type the word the plateau of latent potential. So if you are working and maybe you are not seeing the results, it is because you have not yet reached the plateau of latent potential. So we don't know how long it takes for you to be at the plateau of latent potential. That is that corresponds to the way you are doing business. If you are showing up every day, you are coming to office every day. By the way, if you are coming to office every day, you can be coming to office every day, but when you are not doing the work, see, we have offices. So if you know the last 5 presentations, you don't have guests, or you have 1, 2, you have like 5, the last 5 guests, you have like 5 guests, and you are doing business full time, then, you are not doing the work. So they are saying that, sometimes you don't see the success until you cross the plateau of latent potential. So look at this again. Complaining about not achieving success despite hard work is like complaining about an ice cube not melting when you heated it from 25 to 31 degrees. Some of you, surely, we are not doing the work, or we are just doing some little work, and we are complaining about not achieving success. We think that maybe people in Zambia, they are the ones who are achieving success. Maybe people in DRC are the ones achieving success. Then from there, we bring a lot of limiting beliefs. You see our economy, you see people are poor, you see there is inflation, you see this is January, you see, so we complain, we don't do the work. And at the end of the day, we again come back to complain that we have not received the success. But what I'm trying to say is that if you can work hard, focus on activities, not results. I'm telling you, the day you are going to reach the plateau of latent potential, everyone will come to you for answers. I remember when I think we had just started 2020. My business was at the peak. I want to say that everyone was in my inbox asking me how I'm doing it. So, but they forgot that previously I had been doing a lot of work. When COVID started like this, immediately I put my team online. We started presenting on WhatsApp. I remember we are presenting on WhatsApp. I subscribed to Zoom quickly. We were doing Zoom presentations, and that's how my business quickly picked up, as others were still figuring out. So when you finally break through, look at this. When you finally break through the plateau of latent potential, people will call it an overnight success. So when we see like Upline Duncan's progress, we think it is an overnight success because he said, my first month, I didn't make money. My second month, I didn't make the money. After this, I made this money. Before he joined Empowered Consumerism, he had been in network marketing for 7 years. Can you imagine? Before he joined this company, he was already in network marketing for 7 years. And where he was, it was very tough even to get a rank, because 99% they would accumulate their money from sales. You have to go outside there, door by door, you sell products. That's how they would make the money. So, but the outside world would see the most dramatic event rather than all that preceded, like all that you did before. So when you reach, so let us work until we reach the plateau of latent potential. Because when you reach that point, people will think this is an overnight success. The outside world will see the most dramatic event rather than all that preceded. But you know that it is the work you did long ago, the work that you did 3 months back, the work that you did 1 year back. So what I'm trying to say, as we are working, our focus should be on activities, not results. And with assurance that whatever activity we are doing will pay off. But when you've taken 1 month, you've taken 2 months, you've taken 3 months without cashing, even if it takes you 1 year, you never know. Because when you reach the plateau of latent potential, you are going to be overpaid for all the months that you are not paid. When it seemed that you are not making the progress, that makes the jump today possible. But you know that it is the work you did long ago, when it seemed that you are not making progress. That overnight success is because of the work you did long time ago. When it seemed that as if you are not making any progress. That makes the jump today very possible. It is the human equivalent of geological pressure. Two tectonic plates can grind against one another for millions of years. The tension slowly building up all the while. Then one day, they rub each other once again in the same fashion they have for ages. But this time, the tension is too great. An earthquake erupts. Change can take 10 years before it all happens at once. Change can take years before it happens all at once. So you see, even success can take some year. Sometimes we say 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. In fact, when we say 6 months, we are meaning 6 months of massive work. You are attending trainings, you are presenting, you are doing the activities. But for 6 months, there is no much success. Then after 6 months, you reach the plateau of latent potential, when everything, comes into its place, and people outside there, they call it an overnight success. So you can, like the way Duncan said, our business, you can predict it. So you can decide now that you've seen, you need to reach the plateau of latent potential for you to get an overnight success. That depends on the number of people that you are showing the business. If you find in a month you've showed maybe like 200 people, you as an individual, or you and your team, you and your downlines, then you can reach, the plateau of latent potential maybe within 3 months. But now you're going to find that in a year, even you and your team, you don't reach like 200 people. So it means maybe it will take you 3 years for you to realize that success. Mastery requires patience. The sun Antonio Spurs, one of the most successful teams in NBA, have a quote from social reformer Jacob Rees hanging in their locker. When nothing seems to help, I go and look at a stone cutter hammering away at his lock. Perhaps 100 times without as much as cracking showing in it. Yet at the 100 and first, yet at the 100 and first blow, it will split it in two. And I know it was not the last blow that did it, but all that had gone before. So this is the plateau of latent potential that I'm talking about. You see, there is that results up, time, and then there are those two graphs, the one that is curved and another one that is linear. So the one that is linear is what we want, like what we think. I've done the work, I've presented to 10 people, so 10 people should join. Then down there is what actually happens. And you see, within between what actually happens and what you think should happen, that is a valley of disappointment. That's when we are in that valley, that's when we start asking ourselves, am I on the right track? Am I, why did I quit my job to do this? So as we often expect progress to be linear. At the very least, we hope it will come quickly. In reality, the results of our efforts are often delayed. In reality, the results of our efforts are often delayed. It is not until months or years later that we realize the true value of the previous work we have done. This can result in a valley of disappointment where people feel discouraged after putting in weeks or months of hard work without experiencing any results. However, listen to this. However, this work was not wasted. I want to assure you that the work you've done previously, the money you have invested in previously, we say we have an event here, you are there, you are putting on money to invite. I want to say that this work was not wasted. It was simply being stored. It's not until much later that the full value of previous effort is revealed. So, I want us, whatever we are doing, just to know that it is everything we are doing is being stored. The only way you fail in this business is when you fail, rather is when you give up. When you give up, then you have lost all the previous work that you've done. When you give up, then all the money that you've invested, then you lose it. Because me and you, what we need is to predict the plateau of latent potential by focusing on numbers. When we are presenting to very many people, when we are showing the business to very many people, then there we can predict the plateau of latent potential. But if you are not doing that, then you cannot predict. All big things come from small beginnings. The seed of every habit is a single tiny decision. But as that decision is repeated, a habit sprouts out and grows stronger. Roots entrench themselves and branches grow. So I want to say that all big things come from small beginnings. All big things come from small efforts. So whatever you are doing is building up. So that's why you shouldn't, in fact, if you check, Upline, I think he said, escape the past. Escape the past. So everything that you've done in the past, forget about it. But the work that you've done in the past, for it is building up. It is going to pay. Like the way Duncan worked for 7 years, he didn't even have a bicycle. When he joined this business, he joined 2017, 2016, I think he bought a Sumoru car. 2017, he bought a Pajero. 2018, he bought his first property. 2019, he bought the second property. 2020, he bought a machine. You see, but all that was as a result of what he did in the previous 7 years. This time, he was executing and he knew what to do. So now for you join us and you say, hey, Upline was able to buy his car maybe in 3 years. Or he was able to buy a building in 3 years. How about me? Me, it is taking 5 years. We forget that for him, for 7 years, as I've already told you, he was working, he even didn't have a bicycle. So what we see, it was a build-up of the work that he had done previously. So whatever work that you are doing, I don't want you to give up when you are already reaching your success. I also want us to watch a short clip in this regard. I want us to watch a short clip and then we shall continue.
The story of 3 Feet from Gold is a powerful lesson in perseverance and determination. It all started with a man named R.U. Story of 3 Feet from Gold is a powerful lesson in perseverance and determination. It all started with a man named R.U. Darby, who traveled west in search of gold during the gold rush of the late 1800s. Darby found a vein of gold and started digging. After several weeks of hard work, he and his partners hit a large vein of gold ore. Excited by their discovery, they invested in the necessary equipment to extract the gold. But soon after, their luck ran out. The vein of gold disappeared, and they were unable to find it again. They drilled on, but the gold was nowhere to be found. After many attempts, they gave up and sold their equipment to a junkman. The junkman called in a mining engineer who examined the mine and calculated that the vein of gold was just 3 feet from where Darby and his partners had stopped drilling. The junkman bought the mine for a fraction of its true value and started digging where the engineer had suggested. In just a few short months, he struck gold and became a millionaire. The lesson of this story is clear. Success often comes just when we are about to give up. It's easy to become discouraged and abandon our dreams when we encounter setbacks. But the story of 3 Feet from Gold reminds us that success may be just around the corner. So don't give up on your dreams and goals, even when it seems like they are out of reach. With persistence, hard work, and a bit of luck, you may be just 3 feet from your own success.
Okay, so we've followed through the story. I think you've had this gentleman, he was mining gold. As he was mining gold, in fact, he had gone home, he had told the family members, so everyone contributed their money. So he came and he bought the mines and they started mining. They got some gold, then along the way, gold disappeared. They kept mining, but they couldn't get the what? They couldn't get the gold. So what happened was he felt discouraged and he sold the mines. So when the person he sold the mines, he got someone who had experience in mining, an expert, who came and surveyed the land and found that, they were just 3 feet away from the gold mine. This person sold the gold mine, sold the gold mines at a very cheap because he thought gold was over. So, but the new person who bought the mines got someone who had who was an expert in gold, in mining, and after surveying the land, they found that it was only 3 feet to reach the gold. So what do we learn from this story is sometimes when you are stuck, you need to go to someone who has been through the same business. That's why you need to ask your upline, you need to ask your sponsor, you need to ask your mentor, you need to ask your grand upline, because these are the experts in our profession who can advise you what to do. But it is not to give up, because just imagine this gentleman just gave up because he had failed to get the gold, because he wanted to get gold quickly and become rich. Just because it took longer than he expected, he gave up and he died a broke man. The other person who got the mine at a cheaper price died a millionaire. So I hope we are getting the point. So don't give up at whatever cost. If you have big dreams, you have serious reasons as to why you joined us this morning, is to assure you that all your dreams are still valid. So keep pushing, keep doing the work,